First tonight, though, a big win last night to the Adelaide Crows. They've got up and won by 34 points in the NAB Cup final. Let's cross to Adelaide now. Brenton Sanderson, the victorious coach of the Adelaide Crows, is with us. Well, they say, mate, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. We found you in your kitchen at home, Brenton. Welcome aboard, mate, and congratulations on a great win last night.
Yeah, thanks, Eddie. It's good to get the win. You know, it's been a long, hard summer, I know, for all the clubs, and for us, it's a nice reward to finish off what's been a really difficult, hard summer along the way, and now we can focus on the regular season starting in 2 weeks.
We know that the NAB Cup is a pre-season competition, but for you personally, to have been able to get your pre-season so right and to win the NAB Cup must be just the perfect fillip for you.
Yeah, well, I guess we started before, the top 8 sides, because we started late October. We've had a really high intensity right up until Christmas. We gave the boys about 10 days off, and I must admit the boys haven't missed a beat. You know, we've been really fortunate with the injuries to our squad. We've pretty much been injury free throughout the summer. So I guess you're halfway there when you can put a fit squad out on the park, and we exposed 38 different players to NAB Cup games over the last 3 or 4 weeks, and of course last night was fantastic to get over West Coast and do it in front of our home fans was something pretty special. And
just to add a bit of intrigue, of course, you had the Matt Rendell situation on Friday, so it's always nice when something like that blows up around a club to walk in, see the president, see the chief executive and carry a bit of silverware in behind you.
Yeah, it was really, I must admit, it was a difficult week probably externally for the football club, because you had the Bernie Vince incident and then obviously the Matt Rendell distraction on Friday. So for the boys then to focus on the game, and you know, when the umpire bounced the ball to start the match, I thought our guys were just ferocious, and you know, they were really physical and aggressive, and yeah, it was nice, I guess, after what was been a tough week for the footy club, to get a trophy for the cabinet. It was good. Yeah, and Brenton, look, the last 2 weeks you fixed up my boys, the Magpies, but last night against the West Coast Eagles, the way you played, I mean, you could have really put them to the sword early had you kicked a little bit straighter, but you must have been delighted with the way they played, your boys. Yeah, they've actually been pretty good. I mean, I must admit, we've beaten, 3 of the top 5 sides from last year through the NAB Cup, and we shouldn't get too carried away, though, or seduced by the scores at all, because, you know, sides are experimenting. There's players with, different preparations than others, and even last night, you know, West Coast subbed Cox off at half-time. So there's, even at this point, you know, NAB Cup round 4, there's still teams who are preparing themselves for round 1. So for us, I mean, we still only can really focus on what we can do well, and we had some pretty good wins along the way, and you know, Collingwood last week was good, and then obviously West Coast in the final. So we've knocked off some top sides, which should give our players a little bit of confidence going forward. Yeah, it's great preparation. I noticed last night when the presentation came around, I know you're trying to keep it as low-key as possible, and you certainly did this. We've just got the pictures up as we speak, and you snuck around the back of the group, you let the players go up, and you're at the back there. You couldn't get any further away if you hid behind the NAB Cup sign there, mate. You're deliberately taking it nice and easy, were you? Actually, I didn't know what to do, to be honest. I didn't know, I couldn't hear Craig Willis, so I'm not sure if he asked for the captain or the coach or the players or whatever, but I just thought it would show a good sign of the boys being together if they all went up and got the trophy together. And you know, I didn't think I needed to say anything. I think the skipper did a great job, and we'll just let the boys, I guess, celebrate that for a few moments, and we'll be back to work tomorrow. But at the same time, I think it's been a great reward for what's been a pretty hard summer for us. Sando, the old stagers would say, get up there, get your photo with the cup, so when it comes to contract time, you can point at something, mate. yeah, maybe next time, hopefully, fingers crossed. Hey, early on, you got to the club, and we spoke about this on Friday on Triple M's Hot Breakfast, that you were one of the strongest in one of the strength tests that you did with the players. And that must have been good to just point to a few of the boys and say, come on, boys, you really need to lift your intensity if you're going to go with the teams like the one I came from, Geelong. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of, we shouldn't get too carried away with that story. I do love that story, but it was really early in the pre-season when the players were doing some upper body testing, you know, strength-wise, and I happened to sort of roll in at the back of one of the sessions, and I joined in, and then, my results were quite high up the table, so I did let the boys know, you know, that the coach who's been retired for 5 years or 6 seasons shouldn't be knocking him off in the testing. So, I mean, that was back in November. You know, fast forward now to the middle of March, and you know, we've got a strong, hardened group of young men who are really keen, and I think we're showing it in the way they're playing. You know, I think contested ball numbers were plus 26 or plus 24 last night against a really good contested ball side. So I think the players now have the confidence to put themselves into those situations, knowing they're not going to get hurt. So that was. It's a good story though, I like it. The more times you talk about it, I'm happy.
Keep talking it up. I know Mick Malthouse used to love flogging the Collingwood boys at Mount Humphrey because he's like a mountain goat, Mick, on the mountain climbing and the walking.
That's right.
He loved putting them to the sword. Hey, did you take a bit of the old Geelong with you to Adelaide in the case of Jimmy Bartell, who once made a century in a cricket game, then came out at his hamstring at training? Is that where the Bernie Vince situation came in as far as you're concerned?
Yeah, a little bit, and we did have that discussion with the leadership group. It was just before Christmas that we had a lot of guys playing cricket, a few guys play basketball socially, and we just felt that perhaps as we started to get into the internal trials and practice matches, that it might be time to not expose ourselves to any unnecessary risks. So that decision was actually made a long time ago, and then, you know, Bernie's team, they've won 8 premierships in a row, and then they were coming up for their 9th grand final, and he was keen to play, but then, you know, it's footy season now, and like you mentioned with the Jimmy Bartell incident, we don't want to expose our players to any unnecessary risks, particularly, you know, when we're so close to the start of the season. So it was a club decision that was made, and the leaders backed it up, and you know, Bernie still went up and celebrated with his teammates, as we know now the story, but at the same time, I think we should focus on footy when it's footy season. Yeah,
well, we'll have a look at some of Bernie's highlights. He was fantastic last night. I don't think anyone disagrees with you that they're paid enough as professionals to play football, and the social stuff can go to the side. Again, he was dobbed in by an Adelaide Crows member. Would you like to show him the highlights of Bernie Vince winning the Michael Tuck medal last night and just say, hey, just calm down. We don't need people dobbing people in March. The kids have got to be able to have a little bit of fun in their life. We're going to talk about this extensively with Adrian Anderson in a few moments in relation to what's going on with the recruiting of Indigenous players and sometimes the pressure being too much. Are you finding that, Brenton, that the pressure is now getting almost to the unbearable stage for a knockabout bloke to play football?
Yeah, it is a little bit. I mean, the distractions are everywhere. I know the players have a certain, I guess, responsibility to the community, and, you know, they're looked up to by so many particularly young kids, so you do have to keep yourself out of trouble, but at the same time, yeah, we have to understand that these players have to be, you know, human beings as well, and have a lifestyle, you know, outside of their football. But I know we sometimes, I mean, the Bernie case on last weekend was a bit of a storm in a teacup, and I did mention after the game that while it was a distraction externally, internally, the boys were really focused all week, and they didn't let it upset them. They didn't let it change the focus from the game. And, you know, we saw Bernie. He did mention that he felt like he owed the players, but in fact, I don't think the players were that you know, wrapped up in it as much as perhaps it was externally.
Would have loved to have seen him get up to get the Tuck medal wearing his boxer shorts. That would have been a nice farewell to everybody. Hey, mate.
Actually, Rory Sloane. I was going to say Rory Sloane did try to, I think, pull his shorts down as he was walking up, which might have got himself in a bit of trouble. But
yeah, good idea, mate. Hey, look, Brenton, congratulations. It's great to have any silverware at a football club. It's hard won any time. The NAB Cup's there, and good luck. You've got the Gold Coast in round 1, and we wish you all the best, and thanks for being part of EMT tonight.
No, my pleasure. Thanks, Eddie.